Welcome back. In this video I'm going to be making Mad Eye Moody's wand from this piece of wood. So if you are new here, I am making every single Harry Potter wand from the films from the correct woods.
Alastor Moody, new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
So Mad Eye's wand is an absolute chunky thing. It's the same one as pictured in the book, but I don't think this one's actually in the films. There's a different version, and on the Warner Brothers wand wheel there's actually another different version, but this is the one I'm going to recreate. It's unknown wood and unknown core. So it's got this really cool sort of like dragon skin texture. I say really cool, I might hate this in a second. And then this sort of really gnarly, more wood-like end, plus the two silver rings. In this wand book, Moody is described as a gunslinger with a wand, which I think is quite cool. And it says has a natural pock, a socket to match Mad Eye himself, so basically like his eye, so it's like that bit. See the resemblance? And fair warning, I have no idea how this video is going to go. I haven't really planned it at all.
When have any of our plans ever actually worked?
So people were saying online, it's, even though the wood's unknown, people think it is red oak. Now, I don't actually have any red oak, and I don't know how to actually tell what is red oak, but I did find this piece. This is a piece of brown oak. I was actually going to save this for like a tool handle because it's a really nice piece of wood. I thought, oh, I'll just pull it out, see what it's like. And good news, we've got basically a knot. I'm pretty sure that goes through there, and I'm going to try and make that little pock. And the best thing is, we've only just got enough wood. I haven't actually worked out how I'm going to do these, fit these in yet, but we'll have a play and see what happens.
When it comes to the dark arts, I believe in a practical approach.
Right, it's on the lathe. It's really nice having a piece of wood which is already round. And this is also fate because the chance of finding a knot like that, which will be quite in the center, it's slightly off here, and it all fits, so it was meant to be. So I think my plan is basically turn it down to this profile, do all this grayscale, whatever it is. I think then I'm going to cut basically parts my way into this bit and this bit, try and keep it all central, and then take it apart, cast and turn out some pewter for these rings, which I'm hoping I can then put it back together and it will stay perfectly concentric, and then obviously part it off, finish the rest. Okay, I thought I'd try and draw it to explain it better, but I don't think that's helped either. Let me just show you. Right, so we've got the rough shape of basically all the shaft. I'm gonna give myself some artistic license here because I think, so this part is actually wider than this part, and it doesn't look right to me because it should always taper like that, like I've done. And it doesn't look right having the wider ring, and it's got two lines, and a thin ring with nothing. So I'm gonna basically copy that one for both because I think it will look much better. This oak is actually quite hard and very dusty, but it's got these awesome medullary rays, so you can see there they fleck in the sunlight, so they're on both sides of the wood, and oh, I just love it. And you can see it up here as well on this sort of part of it. You'll get it on quarter sawn wood, but right, next step is to tackle all these carvings, which I'm not looking forward to. They're quite rough here, and then it sort of tapers out and gets smaller towards the end. Yeah, not looking forward to this. Actually, I have just noticed they seem to be a lot flatter towards around here than this part. So I'm going to sort of divide that up and try and get it a bit more accurate. As long as I go roughly either side of this line, we should be okay. Where have I been? Well, I've been delayed for a few reasons. One, this was going to be the next video, Fred and George's wand, and you can see in this black packaging, I've got the wood for this. But this one, I'm still trying to get some stuff from America, and it's costing an absolute fortune. So it's been like 2 months trying to wait for that one. I've also got Slughorns in the works with a very special piece of wood. Try and guess what that's going to be. And then I was like, oh, I need to get a video out. So I was like, oh, I found, yeah, it turns out I had Mad Eye's wand. So like, right, let's try and do this quick. Right, that's the first little section done. I'm happy enough with how it turns out, but I need to round out all these sort of the sharp edges, and I don't think sandpaper is going to do the job. So I've got this fella. Well, I don't think that worked quite as well as I hoped, so I'm going to try this little smaller one with a Dremel. Right, I think that's looking a little bit better. I think I need to go a little bit deeper from these channels, but next thing I'm going to do is cut out these grooves and do the rest of this as well. I've also had some machinery issues, one of which is I changed the bearings in this. I didn't really need to, but I wanted to. But now there is the tiniest of gaps, less than about a half piece of paper between this shaft and in there, in the bearings, which means I get a load of vibration. Not too bad for the wands, but it does mean this thing vibrates, so I can't actually turn at full speed. So trying to get that fixed as well, that's a custom job. As well as trying to redo all my electrics, board that up, get that all planned.
Yes, it's all very touching. Let's go!
Okay, that's the carving done. I'm just going to take a real light skim across, basically turning this down. This will also give me sort of sharper corners on this. Obviously this end it's all rounded over, but this part of the wand, it's all very sharp details, so I think that'll help. I'll just take a planing cut over that. Okay, the ring is cut, but now I need to actually stain this part of the wand, so we're going to use, I think, dark Jacobean. So we'll try that on this piece first. Okay, I'm not super happy with how that colour comes out. I always test it on the wood first because it sort of, all the colours show up different on different woods, but it's a bit sort of, I don't know, too reddy or brown. It's hard to tell what colour this actually is, but I've got a better idea, so I'm going to come back, I'm going to take this off now and then come back to that later.
Teaching.
Is that a student?
Technically, it's a ferret.
As I'm an idiot, I forgot to actually turn off the tip of this wand, so we'll have to sort of put that in a jam chuck later and then finish it like that. So next up, all we've got to do is carve this bit. So I've just had a game of what's stronger, metal or flesh, and it is still metal. Rule number one of woodworking, when you don't put anything in the line of fire, like you slip, bang. Really sharp, only a flesh wound, but I don't want to be leaking all over the wand.
And no harm done.
Don't worry, it's completely harmless.
So I've only recently come across these. These are called spills, and they're normally made with a spill plane like this. They were basically used as matchsticks before they were invented, but I thought they looked quite cool, so I wanted to give them a go. So now the fun part. So now we're going to be making these two silver rings. Not from silver because I can't afford that, but instead we're going to be using pewter. So pewter is basically a really soft metal, and it has a really low melting point of around 70 degrees, I think, and that's 70 degrees Celsius for the American viewers who use silly Fahrenheit. So the plan is heat this up till it's liquid and then pour it quickly into this mold, which is just a block with a hole in it, slightly bigger than the final size we want. I've only done this once before, so yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, we had more than expected, but I think it went okay. This is an offcut of some cedar or pine, but it smells fantastic. It's been painted on for like it's all its life. I've only recently cut it, so this is an offcut. But the heat of that as well makes it stink, and it smells fantastic. I don't know how hot. Yeah, that's still quite hot. Right, I don't have all my big machines plugged in, so I'm hoping I can just sort of split this apart and it'll pop out. Well, hey, look at that. Hopefully this comes out okay. Sometimes I get a bit pitting inside, but let's keep going. I thought it would burn the inside of this. I think last time I used oak, so maybe that was why. But there we have it. I'm gonna let that cool down for a bit longer. So you can see there's still a bit of pitting from basically the bottom of the mould, so we're going to keep taking that back till it's nice and flush. Right, we are almost there, but in my haste I didn't make that bit in there perfectly 90 degrees, so it's on a bit of, I want it to be perfectly perpendicular. Perfectly perpendicular.
Practically perfect.
Which is a bit annoying because trying to sort of taper on isn't great. I might try this method and just see if I can squash the wood down. But we're pretty close, pretty close. Bit more. So I'm actually really happy with how well I've got that fit, because that is perfectly true, unlike Umbridge's wand. But there's still a chance, because this is only the first part. I'm joking, I should probably clean my fingers before I do that. I'm not sure that's much better. But it does leave quite a cool little pattern. Right, I've got a screwdriver now. Hopefully this might cut. One of the issues with pewter is because the shavings basically melt as they come off, so they can get trapped in and sort of ruin your finish as well. Here we go, we've got quite a long shaving. I'll see how much I can stretch it. Ready? Ooh. Oh. Quite cool. So I'm not going to sand this because I can make this really shiny, but it's quite a dull sort of matte satin finish on this. So I think I'll leave it sort of as a machine cut, and it'll hopefully sort of match the wand better and saves me a bit of work. So now I've got to cut like a sort of a tenon or spigot on this end, and hopefully, so what I've been worried about is breaking through in this middle part, but I think it's only about half the depth, so we should have enough to play with. And more importantly, it should be strong enough to keep this all nice and sort of concentric and square. Right, moment of truth, will it fit? And I think it will, but I don't want to push it on because I can't pull it back off. We'll say that's fitted. So I've cut that middle section out. Basically it's the same, be the same process, so I'll make another ring to fit on there basically, and then I've drilled that hole through there. But now we've got to make, where's my wand? This all, yeah, this is not going to be much fun. So we've got the knot here, obviously. This one is actually loose. You can see I can push it in. So it's just a dead branch basically. I don't know if we can, I'll have to drill it out. Let's see if I can scrape it out with this. I don't know how deep that goes, you see, before it's sort of solid. I also really like how Moody holds his wand. It's like a pen like that. Aurora Borealis. No, it doesn't work. Thinking is, I'm going to make this hole this side because this is the sort of the deeper pocket, and then this side will become this. I don't know how perfect it's going to be, but I think we'll be quite close. But I want to try and keep that sort of natural. I mean, it's pretty perfectly round actually, but I don't really want to touch that. I want to keep that as natural as possible. So, Alastor Moody, of course, he's played by Brendan Gleeson, but in The Goblet of Fire, he's actually playing Doctor Who, and I actually find it a bit confusing at times to sort of remember, oh no, that's not Alastor Moody, but he is impersonating him as best as possible, if that makes sense. The first time we actually see him is when he's locked up in his own chest. Incidentally, that chest has 7 drawers. 7?
You all right, Alastor? Sorry, Elvis.
Right, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this next part much. I've got to make all these little nodules. These are sort of, I think what do you call them? I guess on a piece of timber, this is actually where branches come out, if that makes sense. So with this gouge, I'm basically just going to take out material all around each one. I've marked them out as best as I can in line with the 2 pocks. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So we see Mad Eye in The Order of the Phoenix and Deathly Hallows Part 1. And Brendan actually describes him as a gunslinger with a wand, and of course his broomstick is a chopper. How cool is that? I think it would have been nice to have a bit more of a send-off for Mad Eye, not just Mad Eye's dead. But fun fact, Bill Weasley is actually played by Brendan Gleeson's son, so when he was saying those lines, Mad Eye's dead, he was actually thinking about his dad in real life. Okay, that's the first sort of stage done. I'm fairly happy with how that's turned out. Next step, I need to cut out this sort of gouge around here. So effectively, we're going to try and undercut. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I only recently found out that the eye on Dolores Umbridge's office door is actually Mad Eye's eye, if that makes sense. And in the films, Harry does actually take this when he's in the Ministry of Magic. But what they don't show is the next day when they're camping in the woods, Harry actually gets up early and searches around the woods for the oldest, most gnarled and resilient looking tree he could find. Then in its shadow, he buried the eye and marked the spot by gouging a small cross in the bark with his wand. While it wasn't much, Mad Eye Moody was given a proper burial. Right, I've just weathered that up with the wire brush. That's turned out really well. I think I need to pop out the centre of that branch, poke it through. Obviously it's not a through hole on this, but I think it'll look a lot better, and it will give me an idea of how strong this pipe is. 'Cause it's wider this way than this way, so I need to shrink this side down, but I want to see how strong it is first. Okay, let's make some ebonizing solution. You need a jar, some steel wool, and some white vinegar. And no one gets free advertising on this channel, which is why I've covered up the Tesco's logo. So I haven't actually done this before, but it's quite simple, I think. You put that in like so. We'll see how well this... Oh, what is it? Hey, that sounds cool. It's supposed to start going black, but I've got to leave it a day anyway, so on to editing. Right, it's been a few days. I don't think this has worked. I think this is supposed to change colour more, but the real test is when we put it on oak. Yeah, it hasn't worked. Okay, so we're going to have to go back to using the spirit stain, which is not too far off from the colour, but that's how it is. So I finished the second ring. It doesn't quite fit as well as the first one, and it's ever so slightly undersized, which I'm a little bit annoyed by. I might just sand off these edges slightly, but I'm not going to assemble it yet until it's stained.
I believe you're familiar with this particular brew.
When the smoke turns red, it means you've forgotten something. How could I be so stupid?
Okay, that was really hectic, but the core is inside and I've re-glued it all and it's nice and clamped in there. And we're done. I hope you've enjoyed watching me make Alastor Mad Eye Moody's wand. I'm really chuffed with how well this has come out, but please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and consider supporting me on Patreon. It really helps me with my mission to make every single Harry Potter wand from the films from the correct woods. Thank you.
End of story. Goodbye. The end.